and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk, and this, my friends, is the Thunder Show, aka the internet's most passionate wine program, and we continue. I'm not joking. We're rolling with this. Nebbiolo. I'm going to pound it into your skull until you get it. This is the varietal. Now, am I doing this for you? No. I'm doing this for me. Because what I know is in 2012 and 2013 and 2014, this is going to be the grape that people are championing. Like this. Like, you know how they do that? I did it. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. What Pinot Noir did. Maybe I'll even make my own movie by then. It'll be like Sideways. And I'm like, I'm not going to be drinking any effing Pinot Noir. It's all about Nebbiolo. Because I'm telling you. Because I'm watching this. Because I live in the trenches. People are starting to understand this varietal. It's gaining steam, and when you think about what it represents, how food-friendly it is, and what it does by itself, ageability, price structure, upside, how long it can last, quality. I mean, we're going to be talking about a 95-pointer right here, 50 bones. I'm telling you, Cabernet from Napa. Definitely, Cabernet from Napa, 80 bucks. Top Flight Bordeaux, or a Bordeaux, from the left bank, 250 bucks. Barossa Shiraz, 90 bucks. I mean, this is an underpriced category. We just did a show the other day on the entry-level stuff, and now we're going to the next level, Barbaresco. Now, Barolo can get even higher. Barbaresco can get high. Listen, Gaia doesn't fool around. And he'll roll you hard for a $300 single vineyard. But these three are really interesting, all scored extremely well. We're going to jump into them in a second. But let's talk about Barbaresco. Again, also from the Langhe region, which we talked about the other day, in that subregion from Piedmonte, became DOC, classified in 1966, became DOCG'd. That's when he became real baller in 1980. Prior to the very late 1800s, and we're talking about like 1890, 1895, that range, Nebbiolo was a varietal that would ripen early, and they couldn't completely ferment and get it fully fermented, so you had a lot of sweet Nebbiolo-based wines, so they were almost dessert-like. But then in the late 1800s, a professor from Alba, which is a great region, again, go back an episode and see what we did with the Nebbiolo di Alba, created a heat fermenter that fully fermented the grape varietal, and then obviously from there, especially after World War II, the entire region of Barbaresco really went in that direction. Now, Barbaresco is extremely close to Barolo. They are only 10 miles apart. It's close. That's like, close. 10 miles apart, but kind of interesting. 10 miles apart, same grape varietal, but different wines, and mainly because the soil structure of Barbaresco allows the wines to ripen a little bit earlier, which in essence makes them dramatically more approachable, and the tannins are just less harsh. I hate this because I think people then think, because Barolo is now more serious, right? You put it away longer, it's more collector. Wouldn't necessarily say that. They're just a little bit different. The terroir make them taste a little bit different, but no question, if we're going to umbrella it, Mary Poppins style, or the Penguin, that's a good, or Bentley. What was his name? P. Diddy's boy for a second there? Bentley Hainsworth. You know what I'm talking about, guys? What was his name?
Bentley something.
Haysworth. Anyway, somebody will say in the comments. Farnsworth. Bentley Farnsworth. There's a couple characters that have been. Those are really the three big umbrella characters of our generation, right, Mott? Bentley, who you have no idea who he is. Mary Poppins, heard of that?
No.
Good. The Penguin? Mm-hmm. Batman? Okay. Anybody else? Question of the day. Who is the most branded umbrella person outside of those three people? Anyway, if we're going to umbrella Barbaresco, they are less harsh, a little more approachable, definitely a little bit more approachable from an age standpoint. So you put them away, a lot of the typical ones, 3 to 7 to 9 years, Barolos, 5 to 10 to 15 years. So great wines. I'm really excited about this. We have 3 great ones, and I think we should get right into it. Stefano Farina, 2006 Barbaresco, $26 US, 90 points Wine Spectator. Fermented in its skins for 20 days, and you're going to hear that a lot because a lot of these ferment in their skins. Big ass glasses here. Then it's aged for 24 months in Slovenian oak. Stefano Farina is a producer that has gotten a lot of press through the years, a lot of 90-point scores, and very well priced. $26. I don't know why I just turned into like karate action G.I. Joe, but 26 bones. Again, when we did the values, they were only in about the $20 range, 38 and 50. So you can see this is heavy value. This is just standard Barbaresco, not single vineyard. Let's give it a sniffy snip. Beautiful red cherries coming through right off the bat. Kind of smells like crushed Smarties. You know Smarties? Remember those candy Smarties? It's kind of like a lot of sugar. I get a little bit of that crushed, cloudy Smarties meets cherries. Really, really heavy on the cherries. Really like the nose. Smells a little creamy to me. It smells pretty. Little rose action, a little like lilac, if you've ever had that at flower. By the way, if you're into the wines, flower shows, when you hear like, like on the radio, you're driving and you're rocking to a little Lady Gaga and you're like, rah, rah, and then it goes into commercial and it's like, hey, the flower show's coming down to the West County Monmouth Fair, and you should go. Sniffy sniff some flowers. They show up in a lot of wines. Let's give it a whirl. Rustic, which I like quite a bit. Darn, I love Nebbiolo. Dry, gamey, a little gamey on the mid palate. I feel like I just bit a moose, so I get a little bit of that gaminess, which I think is interesting. Really, really interesting dark plum. I feel like we went to Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's always has like crazy juices. Like you go into a regular store and it's like apple juice and orange juice. You go to Trader Joe's and they've got like, coconut, starfruit juice. They've always got something a little bit different. I respect them for that. And that's kind of what I feel about this. This is kind of like, by the way, I have no idea where I went. I just completely lost it, which I never do. Where the hell was I going? Here's what I know. This really has a different flavor profile. It's rustic, it's interesting, and I really like the kind of kirsch cranberry, sour pomegranate flavoring of this wine, mixed in with a little bit of tobacco, a little dirt, and little like sawdust. I'm not joking. That's probably the interesting thing on this. I get a little bit of a sawdust flavoring going on. Not the heaviest Barbaresco I've had. Pretty entry-level stuff, but it's pretty darn good. I mean, this is really well-made wine for 26 bones. And kudos to the Wine Spectator. I'm going to match them on their 90-point score and double that up. I'm also going to go 90 on this wine and for $26. Especially for you CKCs out there. College kid crew. I know that you can't always ball and buy $50, $60, $70 wines. 26, save up for a couple months. Hold away from 2 or 3 30-packs and make a play on this. Show your ladies that you got a little class and rock this. I think you'll like it. Bring out the cheeses, pizza, spaghetti, classic, burgers. A lot of things this will go well with. Nice wine. Really, 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 really nice entry-level price point for a sophisticated category. And that excited me. That was a good show. That's it. The show's over. Good wine, I mean. All right, let's go next wine. Orlando Abrigo. Sounds like the name of like a host of like the Price is Right in a Latin country. And your host, Orlando Abrigo. Hey, everybody. Anyway, 2004 Montesino Vineyard Barbaresco. This wine is $38, 91 points, Antonio Galoni. This is fermented in its skins for 6 to 10 days and is in small new oak barrels for 12 to 15 months. Orlando Abrigo is also a very prominent, well-known, especially to Barbaresco heads, producer. Fair price, 38 bones, not bad at all. A little bit darker than the last wine. Let's sniff it up. Similar kind of style to the last wine. Cranberries, pomegranate. A little more subtle, a little less tobacco on the nose. A little bit more motor oil, car service. Hey, I went to like, what are some of these places? Firestone to get an oil change. That's kind of what's going on here. Grease Monkey. There we go, Grease Monkey. Let's give it a whirl. This is spectacular. And I'm going to whisper right now because I'm so happy with this wine. First of all, 2004 is a very good... You know what's really funny? Everybody just put up their speaker. Or by you know. I'm going to continue to whisper. That's how excited I am. 2004, I guess I don't want the secret out. 2004 is an extremely good vintage that did not get a lot of hype, but is very classic in this region, and I think really shows the true essence. What's going on with this wine, and why I've been forced into whispering because of it, is that it's extremely balanced. It is extremely well made. There is almost this like perfect straight line. The kind of line you wouldn't want to have if you went to the hospital, but the kind of line you definitely want to have if you're drinking wine. There is absolutely no deviation from its completeness. I don't know what that exactly means, but it excites me. And here's what I really mean by that line, which sounds ludicrous. Once you start hitting the flavors of this cherry, blackcurrant, kind of almost raisiny, believe it or not, and then really kind of earthy, grainy flavor profile, strawberries, red fruit kind of coming through, it's just seamless, silk, and it's really, really, really attractive. It's consistent. Give it one more shot. This is spectacular wine, in my opinion. I love the floral components. I love the gaminess. Wow, this is really good. I'm going to score this one 94 points. I think Galoni's way too conservative. And 94 points for a $38 bottle of wine, in my opinion, is a lot to be excited about. Really well made. Kudos. Big thumbs up. You know, yeah, you know, there's not much you can say. To me, under 40 bones, there are not a lot of wines that you can ask to do more than this wine. It is extremely well made. Are you guys both 21? You want to try it?
Good. Yeah.
You're good? Okay, good. Driving. All right, and finally, this comes from a classic producer from a spectacular vineyard. I'm almost wondering what the heck I'm going to do when this wine probably outclasses this wine. Not a lot of room between 94 and 100. This comes from Produttori del Barbaresco, the 2005 Rabbia Reserva Barbaresco. Look at this label. This is just just classic labeling. 94 points Galoni, 92 Tanzer, 95 Spectator, 50 bones. This wine was first made in 1967. It is fermented for 24 days on its skins and aged for 36 months in large barrels and 8 months in the bottle before it is released. There's a current release from that because of that. And I'm just blown away by these guys. I'm just trying to see what... They say something funny about single vineyard wines. Only in the very good vintages, the best grapes from the greatest crus, single vineyards of Barbaresco appellation are vinified separately. They are released after 40 years of aging as Reserva. So, I mean, this is really baller stuff. I'm really excited about tasting this wine. I've only had this maybe in the 90 vintage or the 95 vintage. I have to look back. I've not had this so long. Wow. I don't know if you're smelling this. Are you catching this? You getting a little bit of this contact? No? Yeah, I mean, this is aromatically spades. Head and shoulders. Knees and toes. Knees and toes. Anyway, head and shoulders above the other two aromatically. Smell this? I mean, are you starting to catch it? Starting to get a little of my contact? You know, it is an explosive array of red fruit. Really, really pretty strawberries and cherries coming through. Just super appealing. And there is a little bit of like that fruit roll-up candy thing going on. That intense, like, you know, kind of artificially made, but not fake. I don't know how to explain it. It's got all the pizzazz of what fake, you know, kind of like candies and things of that nature are made, but it's contained. This nose is spectacular. I mean, this is ripping. Let's give it a whirl. You know, Mont, I'll talk to you. You know, I haven't really put my balls on the line for a varietal or a style of wine in the 5 years I've done this show. If you really look at the scores, nothing really stands out to tell you, you know, where I stand. But I really think I'm ready to do that with this style of wine. What do you think?
Go for it.
All right. So, I'm really, intrigued by the fact that over the last 5 years, I haven't really put my balls on the line on any varietal. If you really watch the show and look at the scores, you can't really tell where I stand heavily as like a Parker with his style, or even a Galoni or that really rustic style. Definitely the Berghound in that classic Burgundian style. Definitely Wine Spectator with the fruit-forward California rage that they created, and definitely the Aussie explosion. So, I think it's tough for me to commit. Tough to put the ring on the finger, but I'm going to do it. Nebbiolo, Lizzie, don't watch this. Nebbiolo, will you marry me? I'm going to tell you right now that I think Nebbiolo is the grape of the next 3 years. It's going to be discovered on a bigger scale. People are going to recognize its ridiculous, let's even call it redonkulous value structure. This wine is so smooth, so structured, beautiful fruit, great balance. And again, it comes down to palate. I'm the first person out of all your friends, because we're friends, remember? The first person who will go with you on a great, like yesterday, classic Sunday night in the summer. It was nice most around the country. You go out for ice cream with the family. You go out, you go get a Blizzard at like Dairy Queen. Everybody's happy. I would get a coffee, ice cream. Mott, what would you order?
Just a plain old chocolate cone.
You're boring.
Yeah.
And, that kind of thing. Some people go vanilla. This great. Anyway, I would come home after having, I'm looking forward to taking Misha to ice cream. And, it's going to be great. I will be the first person that comes home and goes right to the fridge and pulls out a pickle and eats it. There's something very awkward with my palate that I love to go quite sour and savory after a lot of sugar, or even just a little bit. As a matter of fact, often I will even start dinner with dessert. I'm just in that place, and that's what I think Nebbiolo hits me, so well, which is that it is sweet and sour. That's what this wine is. It's sweet and sour. It is classic, and I throw around sour cherry probably a little too loosely. This is classic sweet and sour. I love that about this wine, and that balance really works for my palate. I want the minerality and the saltiness that I almost get from this wine, but I love equally is that kind of like strawberry jam pie that's like jam, like real, like grandma made it, not Smuckers at the ShopRite, that kind of thing. A little leather, a little gaminess, great bitter tannins, and here, just as I'm yapping with you, it gets in this like, let me give you a little rock, and then let me cream you out with a little like creamy, half and half mixed with like a scoop of like true raspberry jam. I don't know how to explain it. There's probably like a dessert like that, and I just don't have it in my vocab. Great wine, love it. A hair above the last wine, 95 points. I'm going to agree with the Spectator. 94 plus. 94 plus. I'm going to go right in between Galoni and Spectator. Tanzer blows my mind going 92 on this. Too low. Just can't see it. $50. You just don't get this kind of quality, not this kind of quality within itself from a varietal of this structure and this legacy and this kind of like food friendliness. I mean, this is a wine that you can have. There's a ditch at Convivio in New York City, in Tudor City. Great little Italian restaurant. You should definitely check it out. They have a sea urchin based pasta that every part of my body right now wants to put my thumb in here, get in my car, drive over there, eat it, and pound this from the bottle like this. That's how much I like this wine. A lot. It's good. All right, Mott. I declared it. After 900 episodes, I'm a Nebbiolo fan. Kill me. Sue me. Question of the day, besides the 13 others that I already threw at you in this episode. If I'm gonna go global. I'm gonna go global because I want to bring in more lurkers. If you could have your first great Nebbiolo bottle, because now you're probably thinking about it because I'm pumped. At least you got to think about it. I'm not saying you have to. Don't listen to me. Listen to your own palate. Which fictional character would you like to share the bottle with? You! With a little bit of me, we're changing the wine.